last time on Oz Hour.
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, we are introduced to new characters, Anne and Sally, and they're fighting. Oh, Anne, you never sweep. Oh, boo hoo hoo. And everyone's that's what we get from them. And we realize that they're in this place called the Oogaboo, I think.
They're in Oogaboo.
And yeah, and they're there. Their parents left them, and they're like, "What the hell?" So they decide Anne decides that she wants to go and explore the rest of Oz and maybe find her parents. I honestly don't remember if that was a thing or not. But anyway, but then Sally's like, no, actually what we're going to do is dominate everything. We're taking over Oz, we're taking over the world, and we're taking over the moon. We're doing everything. And so then it turns into war. And so now she has to collect an army. So she goes and gets, also Anne's a queen and her people are there. And that's who she gets. She gets all of the men, and she makes them colonels, captains, governors, and one private, File, Mr. File, Joe File. Oh, yeah, all their names are Joe, and they grow weird things. And then what else happens? Oh, my gosh. Okay, and then they're the army, and they are... Oh, there's also a gun, farm. That's something we're going to continue, though. and they're the army, and they're like, march, march, march. And when they're marching, and then Glenda's like, oh, these people are doing something bad. Let me throw them off by making the road go different directions. And that's what she does. And then all of a sudden they end up in front of this monster, monster Iraq. And he almost tries to kill them, but then doesn't. And I just feel like I'm going so over time, so I'm just going to stop there. And that's it.
Hi there, and welcome to episode 44 of Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be continuing with Book 8, Tik-Tok of Oz, covering chapters 4 through 6.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone
and Wyatt Swanger.
And joining us, as always, is our resident Oz initiate, our green queen, Hannah Aguirre.
Oh my god, I'm wearing green today, too.
And that was just in my notes.
That's crazy.
Psychic.
Sorry, did you want to, say, a catchphrase?
Oh, I didn't have anything planned.
Okay. They're like, uh-oh, or I'm just kidding. Okay.
You really want a lot out of me.
Dance! So, Hannah, you just played last time on, where you recapped what happened last time in Tik-Tok of Oz. That took you 2 minutes and 2 seconds to cover, which isn't great. And I do just have a couple of notes for our listeners. You kind of went back for this. And So Forth is the interim queen of Oogaboo. Her father, the king, went into Oz to escape his nagging wife. And then after a few years, the queen went after him, leaving Anne in charge. Mm-hmm. So it's Anne's idea to find world domination while she's the interim queen. Private Files is a crazy Full Metal Jacket ROTC freak, and he knows where to find a gun tree. There was some confusion over the gun.
There was.
And the Rack tries to kill them. Files stands his ground Texas style.
Shoots him out.
They fly the flag of Oogaboo to lay claim upon the land.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Wyatt?
No, maybe the only thing is that Ozma doesn't know anything about this. Glenda just bypassed Ozma and said, which you didn't
That's right.
get anything wrong there, but I just do want to mention Ozma has no idea
which
about
is
this part.
Insane.
Giving Cousin Bobby.
So before we started recording, Wyatt went ahead and whipped up another fabulous cocktail. What do we have here?
Tonight we are drinking the Roseland Mule. It is basically a Moscow Mule, except it is made with rosé in addition to ginger beer.
It smells great.
And some raspberry. And Hannah just ate her raspberry. It looks delightful.
Shall we slurp?
Yeah.
That's good. When
Ooh, that is good.
When that touched my lips, all of a sudden my brain flashed white, and it was like, in the summertime with a bow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Chapter 4. Betsy braves the billows.
Okay.
There's 2 things you got to know about this. Number one, nothing you learned last episode is going to have anything to do with what you're going to hear today.
Oh yeah, no, new story.
Absolutely no crossover.
What?
No mention. We get another cold open, though.
Yeah. We find ourselves on a ship in some ship in some sea, and the water is treacherous. There is a massive storm going on.
Waves, lightning, thunder. It is insane.
Betsy Bobbin is her name. She's running across the deck, and as she's doing this, the ship strikes upon a rock.
And she goes flying like 20 feet in the air.
She flies through the air.
And she lands in the ocean. Also, at
Very
this moment,
Dorothy.
there's a very thin mule named Hank, which, by the way, mule, that's our mule, the reason we're having a mule today.
Okay.
But the mule Hank, who's also on the ship, also gets fucking catapulted out into the ocean. So they're
Okay.
like 20 yards away from the boat. Like they're in the ocean watching it.
This is
That's-
giving, what book was it with Belina and Dorothy?
The third book, Ozma of
Ozma
Oz.
of Oz.
Ozma of
Yeah.
Oz.
Yeah. Well, just wait.
Honestly, Betsy is like fully drowning. She was not expecting to fall into the water.
No.
She like reaches out in front of her like and she fortunately finds Hank's tail. And so like her and the mule are kind of like staying afloat together.
Okay. I was like, she's going
Super.
to drown that mule.
So
Yeah.
I'd be fucking like getting on top of it.
Forcing
It's
its head
kicking me.
down.
I'm mad at it for that. But no, fortunately, this like it's not like a manhole cover. What is it?
Well-
it's like a porthole cover.
Before this,
Oh.
unfortunately, the ocean is lit up and
Oh yeah.
the boat has lit on fire and exploded. Exploded.
Is this real?
This
We
is
don't know.
real. This is not a lie. This time.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
she means
yeah.
we're
I was
not
like, well,
lying
you
to
guys
her.
just like say things
Yeah,
sometimes.
no, this
Yeah.
is real. The boat lights on
Were there
fire.
people on there?
There must have
Probably.
been. She
So they're
probably
just-
wasn't
and they're-
driving the boat.
Betsy can't be alone on that boat.
And they're not in fairyland, we don't think.
Oh, that's what I was about to, I was like, are they in Oz?
Oh,
Does
who
this mean that they
knows?
are just blown into a bunch of pieces? that
Literally,
they-
who knows? And I actually, that's gonna come back up in this.
Yeah.
actually, like where the hell is Betsy from? And we'll talk about it. But where's she going? Where did she come from? Where did she go?
Where did she come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Um,
Joe!
Joe Files.
Nothing.
So honestly, watching the ship sink super far away from her, Betsy like literally shudders, and she's probably thinking like, if I had been on that ship, dead.
Yeah. Like
Honestly.
and now though, the only hope she might have had in the middle of the ocean is gone. So she actually is also dead.
She
But
said, "It's me and a mule in the dead middle of the sea."
grab
Yeah.
some debris, do a little Titanic moment.
so
the mule's gonna freeze.
it's more
the
than
mule
eat
is
it.
jacked.
Eat it. It's cured with salt.
Oh, is that Rose? Cocktail.
Oh,
Rose?
Rose from Titanic? No,
Yeah.
but it's a good tie-in.
That's funny.
We'll get
Yeah.
there though.
We'll get there.
So this hatch cover from the wreckage floats near them, and Betsy lets go of Hank's tail. She gets on it. It's wide enough. She did better than Rose from Titanic because this thing is wide enough for her and the mule. So she helps the mule scramble up
and
on it.
the mule.
Her and
So a
the
whole ass
mule.
mule could get on some debris, but Jack couldn't. That's crazy.
It didn't have to be like that.
I'm gonna need to talk to someone.
It didn't
James
have to be
Cameron?
like that.
Yeah, immediately.
But the storm, it's just clamoring up above them.
Yeah.
Lightning is going off bolt after
The
bolt.
boat's gone, the storm is
Yeah.
not gone.
Betsy and
Oh my
Hank are being like
God.
thrown all over the sea.
That's my worst fear.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
raining, they're screaming, and Hank is a mule and he's not having a good time.
He keeps saying "bow wow." Just kidding. It's hee haw,
Yeah.
but it's the equivalent in this.
Yeah.
He does it a lot. But
Like
He's saying hee haw.
yeah, exactly. Hee haw is bow wow and don't know all rolled up into one little.
yeah,
thing.
It's
seriously.
the same thing.
So Betsy is pretty freaked out because she knows that there, for hundreds of miles around her, there's no person. There's no living person. She is in the middle of the ocean with a mule. And she's not feeling very good. But Hank also isn't feeling very good, and he can tell that she's not feeling good. And so he like kind of nuzzles into her with his like nose and says, hee-haw.
It's very cute. It's very sweet. Yeah, this is interesting. Who are these people? Who is this mule? What is going on?
Yeah, this is insane.
So we learned that in the recent days of the voyage, like Betsy had spent a lot of time like in the stables where the animals were and like getting close to Hank. So like she's like
they've been hanging out.
She's like, God, like I do have like a connection with this mule. Like we've spent a lot of time together recently, which is sweet. But she's also like, maybe that means he'll protect me better than a bigger animal, because this animal is like, he ain't shit.
A mule?
Yeah, she's like, I'm not safe. Like, I
On
hope
the
I'm safe
ocean.
with this mule, but I know he'll try.
Yeah, as if any animal would be able to help her.
But Betsy like notices that he like kind of nuzzles into her, and like she just kind of starts like sobbing, and she's like, oh, like you'll protect me, Hank. And he's like, hee-haw. And like they're just like, we're gonna die together out here in the sea, aren't we? Like, they're just kind of like having a moment.
But then the storm lasts into the night, and it kind of starts to calm down, and Betsy does a Dorothy, and she just stretches out and falls asleep.
Yeah, she must be drenched.
Yeah. Hank did not sleep, though, probably because he felt that he needed to protect her. So
it says
that's
he
nice.
like sat up and just like looked
Does
out
Hank-
at the sea.
Has he talked yet, or
He
it's
has-
just it's
Other
just
than
like
hee-haw.
feelings?
Hee-haw. Yeah, he's like a horse. Like he's like the horse from Mulan, where he doesn't speak, but
Okay.
like he has a personality and he knows
Yeah,
what's going on.
That makes sense to
He's
me.
like Toto.
Yeah, well, so
Okay.
the thing is, we'll see, because, we'll see.
So
He's gonna start talking. I know it.
when
I feel it
dawn-
in my bones.
when dawn breaks, the light wakes Betsy up, and she sits up and she stares out across the water. And after looking out for a while, she's like, "Oh my God, Hank, there's land. Like we're going toward land." And they are like moving toward land. Like they're
They're
in
getting
like a jet
swept
stream.
into it. Yeah, it's like the
Jet
opposite
boat.
of a riptide.
But as they get closer, Betsy can see these like banks of beautiful, huge flowers and these leafy trees on the shore ahead.
And there's no people to be seen that she can see. But it looks pretty nice. And she looks at Hank and he says, "Land ahead." No, he doesn't.
Oh, I was like, I had to think about that for a second. I was like, wait, who said that?
And Hank looks up and he says, "Hold on to your breeches."
God. No, but that is the end of chapter 4. Betsy braves the billows. And Blake, what would you call that?
Okay, I think this is cute. You guys are going to be mean about it, though. From shipwrecked to shipmates. Oh, you guys suck.
Chapter 5. The roses repulse the refugees.
So the raft with Betsy and Hank on it, kind of gently lights at the shore of the beach. And Betsy gets off the raft and she walks up to the beach. And Hank gets off the raft. He walks up to the beach. And it's beautiful. It's sunny. The air is warm. And the breeze is like carrying this like sweet fragrance of roses.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice place to be, it seems like. There's bright green trees, and Betsy is very happy to be on land because she thought she was going to die at sea last night, but she's also super hungry.
Yeah. She's like, "Hank, I'm hungry and I don't eat roses. So what we gonna do?"
Yeah,
Let's
she's
throw
like-
some nuts.
She's looking at him like he's a snack. She's
Uh-oh.
like, "What's going on here?"
So Hank goes up the hill a little bit, and Betsy like follows him. And from the top of this hill, they can look down, and there's this big, beautiful greenhouse down the path. Like it's like sparkling in the sunshine. And Betsy's like, "Okay, well, there's got to be like a gardener or like
Yeah.
something around here.
If there's a
like,
greenhouse, there's people.
and if there's people, they're gonna give me food because she
Yeah.
is starving, and she's a shipwreck victim.
Yeah.
How old is she?
Unknown.
Unknown. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say like 12.
I'm guessing
Okay.
she's like Dorothy's age
She's like
now.
a child.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
child, but like,
Older-
yeah, she's not a teenager.
Older than OG Dorothy.
Okay.
But they walk over to the greenhouse, and the whole way there, they don't see anyone at all.
Yeah.
And when they get there, the door to the greenhouse is slightly ajar, so they go inside and are amazed by what they see. They see the queerest people. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, oh, it's gonna be like the most normal people ever.
Yeah. By the most standard person you've ever seen. No, they walk in, and the greenhouse is full of these huge pots, all with rose bushes. And the roses are beautiful, they're gorgeous, they're bright. And in the center of every rose is the face of a lovely girl. So this is just to remember when Tip went, or he was, who the hell was it coming back from the Wicked Witch's castle?
No, it was
West.
It was when Tip was fighting General Ginger.
Okay, yeah. But they used Mommy's magic to make all those sunflowers with like the girls' heads in the middle who were like screaming at them,
And like
like
laughing.
walking
my
across the like
God.
the Badlands. So
It's a long time ago.
That is
was
a long time ago.
time
That was the
ago.
second
I'm like,
book.
I barely even remember that.
well, there's gonna be a lot of things here that we're gonna be like. So do you remember this thing in the other books? And then doesn't this seem similar? So just belt up because that's coming.
As Betsy and Hank enter the greenhouse, the heads of the roses are like drooped, like the eyes are closed. The girls look like they're sleeping.
Which is all fine and well. Ideally, they would have been able to get the fuck out of there.
Unfortunately, Hank is so surprised by what he sees that
Hee-haws.
he goes, hee-haw.
No.
And all the roses wake up. Their eyes snap open.
Their
they all
leaves, like,
swivel. Yeah, and
my God.
like they're all
Run!
like exactly. They're all staring at the intruders. And Betsy is like, "I'm so sorry," and she's like embarrassed for like waking them up because like, which is kind of reasonable. Like, oh, what do you do? Like, I couldn't interpret that.
And the roses all say, a 1, 2, 3.
Oh. All of them in a chorus.
They this is how they talk. They all talk at
Yeah.
once.
But actually, only one of them says, "What was that terrible noise?" And Betsy's like, "Well, that was Hank."
Yeah.
And Hank says, "Hee-haw." So they
the
know it's him.
roses, they turn their heads as far away from Hank as they possibly
Yeah,
can.
they're twisting
They
and
quiver.
shuddering.
I hate it.
It looks like someone grabbed a rose bush and started shaking it.
Oh
is
my
what
God.
It says. One of the roses is like, "Oh God, that's terrible." Betsy's like, "It's not terrible. You're just not used to hearing a mule. It's a
Yeah.
mule."
Betsy's sort of annoyed. She's like, stop bullying him. Like,
That's my friend
Hank
who
is
saved my
nice.
life.
Literally, yeah.
They all kind of like the rose bushes, all kind of like turn around. They like look at Hank, just kind of taking him in. And one of them is like, "That savage beast is called Hank."
What?
Yeah. Betsy's like, yeah.
Cool down. Someone like take a breath
what
of fresh
happened to
air. or
them?
Quiet
something.
down. Quiet down.
But Betsy's like, yeah, like he's faithful. He's my true comrade. Like,
And she like hugs him around the
Yeah.
neck. She's like, "He's my comrade, aren't you, Hank?"
yeah. And
So
Hank,
cute.
and Hank says, "Hee-haw" again. And the roses hate
Oh, they just
Obviously.
hate it.
They hate it.
So one of the roses, honestly, like this is a fair thing to say. Can you please go away? You're scaring us. Which like they're trapped in a greenhouse. These people just came into the greenhouse. It's I think saying, "Can you just like get out of here?"
Yeah, like this is our
It's totally normal.
area.
Yeah.
This
If-
is our yeah.
If someone walked in here right now, I would be like, "Oh, you don't belong here. Can you please leave?"
Actually,
You're
go.
scaring me." Yeah.
But Betsy is like, we're actually shipwrecked. We just got shipwrecked. I'm a little girl and a mule, and we don't have anywhere to go.
And the roses are like 1, 2, 3.
Wrecked? Like, they are perplexed by this. And so Betsy explains, like, yeah, we were on a big ship. So, okay, we know it was a big ship now, and it was wrecked. And now we're here because we floated ashore. And she's like, "And what country is this, please? Like, can you
where
clarify
are
for
we?
me? Like, we need help. And where are we? And
Like
who
I've
are
never
you?"
seen this before.
Yeah, like she's kind of like catching up from the shock of all of it. I feel like, and
Yeah.
she's like, actually,
Like I've already seen an explosion. I've already been in the giant,
Yeah.
like biggest waves I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking to flowers.
yeah, I'd be
Exactly.
like, am I dead? Like, am I dead?
This is very like, are you coming from Kansas? Because she just seems very like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But I'm really liking Betsy so far. But one of the roses tells her that she is in the Rose Kingdom. which is devoted to culturing the rarest and fairest roses ever grown. And Betsy's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I guess I could have figured that out.
Yeah, she's like, I get it.
Oh,
You
this
are
is-
all beautiful.
Where the fuck is the Rose Kingdom?
Yeah, like this
Well,
is the
yeah,
Rose
that's a good
Kingdom. No
question.
shit, Sherlock.
It could be in Oz
I
for all
want
we
more
know.
than that.
I mean, the Oogaboos were in Oz.
I need the world and the universe type of vibe.
Yeah.
One of the roses tells Betsy that only roses are allowed in the Rose Kingdom, and that Betsy needs to get the hell out of there before the royal gardener finds her. And
Oh.
he will literally, if he finds them, he will cast Hank and Betsy back out into the sea.
And Betsy asks, she's like, well, is the gardener a rose? And they say, oh, no, he's a wonderful, wonderful
Oh,
man.
Wonderful man.
And
Oh,
Betsy
whoa.
says, I'm not afraid of a man.
As she's saying this, the royal gardener enters.
And she screams.
Well, actually,
he is 9 feet
he
tall.
screams.
He has a hook for a left foot. He has
He's not a man.
fangs that are dripping poison. Just kidding. He's a man.
Oh,
he does have a spade and a watering can.
I was like,
though.
that's not a man.
He
That's
is-
not a
No,
man.
he's like a little dandy man, honestly. He's got a rose-colored costume. He has ribbons tied to his knees and ribbons tied to his elbows.
Oh, he's
And
giving
he has,
coquette.
And he has ribbons all in his hair.
Coquette.
It's so coquette.
And when he sees them, he says, oh, in surprise. And then
is
he like
astonished.
hides.
This has never happened before.
Yeah.
As if to make matters worse, Hank brays again. This scares the royal gardener so much that he throws his watering can over Hank's head
No.
and runs away.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
hides
But
behind the
well,
bush.
he
okay.
actually trips and falls over in fright.
Yeah, he is terrified.
Okay, so
Betsy,
Hank is her weapon.
Right.
Yeah, seriously.
Betsy, though, cracking up laughing. She takes the watering can off Hank's head, but Hank is not laughing.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's pissed.
He's
He's
pissed.
mad.
He said, "You don't mistreat a donkey like that."
Yeah.
Hee-haw.
He is like backing up to this guy. He's like about to kick him in the head. And
Oh,
Betsy's like, hey,
shit.
watch out for Hank's heels. Like, he's going to hurt you.
They're
So-
knives.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He got them sharpened. But the gardener is like, he like runs and hides behind the roses and is just like so freaked out. So Betsy's not afraid of that man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
Oh my god. The gardener gets to his feet. He hides behind the roses and he like peeks out quivering from behind the bushes and he's like, "You're breaking the law." And Betsy's like, "What law?" And he tells her that it's breaking the law of the Rose Kingdom because no strangers are allowed to be there.
And not even when they're shipwrecked, she might ask.
Yeah.
She's like-
"We're not supposed
You're like,
to be."
what if I don't have a choice?
Yeah. And he's like, well, the law actually doesn't make exceptions for shipwrecks. So yeah, it's still against the law to be here.
And furthermore,
But suddenly there's a crunch and a crack. And you may recall this greenhouse is made of glass.
Oh no.
And the glass in the ceiling shatters down and a man falls through. He's sitting there, lands on the floor, and that is the end of chapter 5.
Oh my god. He's like, you're gonna keep reading this book.
The Roses repulse the refugees.
What?
That's the name of the chapter.
Oh, I guess they are refugees.
They are, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
And Blake, what would you repulse that?
I would call that a thorn in Betsy's side.
Chapter 6. Shaggy seeks his stray brother.
Hi, Shaggy.
Uh-oh.
You know who just landed in the middle of the greenhouse.
Oh.
Let's pretend you don't.
Or maybe you actually don't know.
I forgot about that.
So, the man who falls through the roof is, dare I say, one of the queerest men Betsy has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
His clothes are so shaggy. How shaggy are they? That at first, Betsy... No, it's not for you. I'll answer. Thank you. At first, Betsy thinks he's some sort of animal.
But then he's sitting up.
Sirius Black.
He's a lycanthrope.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's giving Azkaban.
It is. It's
Oh my
giving the
God.
wanted poster.
Yeah.
Okay. The man fell through the top of the greenhouse. He landed on his butt and is just sitting up, holding a partially eaten apple.
He seems pretty unbothered.
He continues eating the apple.
Yeah, and he just looks around. You may recall that the first time we met the Shaggy Man and rode to Oz, he was picking apples off a tree and then also picked up Toto and put him in his pocket.
Oh.
So it's just a big callback to his favorite
forgot
meal.
about
He
that.
loves apples. He loves a big,
Yeah.
rosy-cheeked apple.
Although in the last book, he ate square meals and brought those everywhere. So I'm not sure why he is going on this journey without square
Maybe
meals.
he has square meals, but he saw the apple tree.
Yeah,
and
maybe
was
there were
like,
no
Okay.
apples in the
Go.
last.
There better be a fucking square meal in this book. Is all I'm gonna say. But okay.
But Betsy is like, oh, gracious. And she goes to check on the man who's fallen. And she's like, who are you? Where'd you come from? And he's like, who, me? As if he's not the one who just fell through the ceiling,
Yeah.
like that of a room that people were already
Yeah, that
in.
ruined like the whole vibe.
Yeah.
The whole vibe of the night.
Yeah, it's like,
Yes,
I was
you.
actually being threatened with death, and you came
Yeah.
and interrupted.
But he's like, well, I'm the Shaggy Man.
Well,
Nah.
Isn't that how he talks?
I didn't realize that was how he talked.
I didn't think he talked like that.
I thought that was canon. I thought I was doing something canon.
I thought he was like, I'm the Shaggy Man.
What?
That's way closer to what I would think.
What?
It's not quite it.
No. Okay.
I am the Shaggy Man.
No.
Maybe we just do it
No.
without voices.
No.
Maybe we just do it without
This
voices.
is getting scary, and it's not Halloween. The Shaggy Man tells Betsy that he climbed an apple tree outside of the greenhouse, and that while he was up there, the branch broke and he fell through the top of the greenhouse. Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Wasn't Betsy so hungry?
Yeah. if
So
there was an
wouldn't she
apple
have
tree-
seen the apple tree growing over the greenhouse and go get an apple?
Probably.
That would make a lot more sense.
I mean, I would. do that
Wouldn't
if
she
I
have
were her.
seen the man in
Although-
the apple tree getting the apple up
How
there?
how big is the greenhouse? How small is she?
Well, so okay. I think it's a pretty big greenhouse because it said it was big.
And she's
It also has
4'7".
pots of roses. Also, the Shaggy Man had to climb to the top above the greenhouse to get an apple. So maybe she didn't notice, or she
Yeah, because
just
I was like, if it's a really high, like tall building, basically, and she's like a child, small,
yeah.
like maybe she just didn't even see it,
She probably didn't see
Yeah.
it,
and she just
or-
saw a door, and possibly
Yeah.
people
Okay.
could be
in the
inside.
movie, it's like an enormous greenhouse, and they like see him fall and hear the crash, and they have to run over to where he is to see what's going on. In the
Okay.
movie.
No, I don't think so. It's,
Well,
it's
then,
one
I mean-
story. He just climbed a tree, and she didn't.
Dear listeners, this is my formal resignation from Oz Hour. So anyway, the Shaggy Man is just like eating his apple throughout this entire conversation. He doesn't give a shit. He gives the core to Hank, and Hank is like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Hank
awesome."
likes that. He's like, I eat that actually.
Okay, Hank.
But then the Shaggy Man bows to the roses. He bows to Betsy, and he's like, "Hey, everybody." So the gardener at this point,
He's going through a lot.
he's been pretty much just too terrified this whole time to do anything. But he peeks back out, and he screams, "You're breaking the law! You're breaking the law!"
Shaggy just stares at him for a second. He's like, "Is glass the law?" But bumps.
Yeah,
Oh,
because he
'cause
broke the glass.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a bad joke. But
Wait a minute.
breaking the glass here is breaking
Keep
the
up.
law. Breaking the glass is breaking the law, and also intruding anywhere in the Rose Country is breaking the law. So they've broken the law in many ways.
So many laws broken.
Yeah.
Shaggy's like, "How do you even know all these rules you're spouting out?" And the gardener says that it's printed in a book that if any stranger enters the Rose Kingdom, they will be immediately condemned to death by the ruler.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And he's like, "So your time has come to die."
Not Joe Mama's Oz.
No, not Joe Mama, not Joe Clock, not Joe fucking
File.
Joe File. But he says the time has come to die.
Now, while this entire exchange has been taking place, Hank has apparently been slowing himself like back up to the royal gardener because he's like, "No, I never got to kick you. I'm gonna kick your fucking ass."
And so he kicks him.
He does.
And the little gardener makes a perfect U shape with his body, a sideways U, and he flies out the door without even touching the ground. And he's just gone.
Yeah.
And Betsy is like, okay, let's go before they kill us.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of freaked out by
No,
all
She
of
was
my
this.
like
turn.
already scared, and then her horse like assaulted someone. She's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we need to go. Well, let's go.
Actually,
But Shaggy isn't afraid of anything here.
Yeah.
And you know why?
he has a gun.
Hold on.
No,
How did
even
you-
better. He has a different piece of metal.
Hold on to your ass.
He has
The Tin Man.
the love magnet.
Oh,
Oh,
he's not
underwhelming.
metal.
But Betsy is like, the love magnet? What the hell is that?
How do you get that?
The Shaggy Man tells Betsy that the love magnet is an attachment that wins the heart of everyone who looks upon it. We get a lot more love magnet in this book than we do previous books. Like, it's like a real thing here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy what we're about to see. It's like frustrating, and we'll get into it a little bit. But he explains that it used to hang over the gateway to the Emerald City, which we already knew, but that Ozma allowed him to take it with him on this journey. And Betsy is like, oh my God, you're from the wonderful land of Oz?
Oh, so she knows.
Exactly what is happening.
So
what is she?
here's the thing, though.
So what is she?
What?
Well, so Shaggy Man is like, oh yeah, like, have you heard of it? And she hasn't. Or sorry,
No, he asked if she's been.
if he's been there. Yeah, or if she has been there. And she's like, no, like, but I've heard of it, and about Ozma and Princess Dorothy. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
but she's never heard of the Shaggy Man.
I know. Which, okay, yeah, I had that. I had that in my notes too.
He's been in like 4 books.
But that's the thing. My theory, maybe she's from a fairy country, but L. Frank Baum is getting all this information via wireless, like, telegraphy from Dorothy. So now he's writing about a girl who has read his books, who then traveled to Oz. So she's just read the books.
Whoa,
I'll
and
be
maybe she's not
interested-
caught up.
Yeah,
I'll be
exactly.
Interested in seeing if it goes that way, but I don't know.
I don't
if
think we'll get
that's
anything
true.
more. But
But
that's
she
my-
also
Yeah.
says
that's my truth.
Princess
Oh, that'd be-
Dorothy,
that's
so she
so
knows Dorothy's a
cool.
princess. But the thing is, Oz is locked up. You can't get into Oz if you're
Yeah,
not
that's
from
what's a little
Oz.
weird.
And she's
Also,
not
when
like
you
that,
show up on some island,
she's not that surprised.
Yeah, or you show up in some like place after a shipwreck. My first, I mean, maybe if someone was saying all the things from the book, but like my first guess would not be like, oh, I'm in that book that I've read.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, me neither.
But who knows?
But that's my theory, and I don't know.
I like that theory. Though.
I like that theory too. So I liked it more actually.
No.
Okay, I like it the best, and that's what matters.
It's actually my favorite theory
But-
we've heard.
But like Betsy is like, Oz is amazing. Why did you leave Oz? And the Shaggy Man tells her that he's on an errand.
To find his poor, dear little brother. So the Shaggy Man has family, and we're about to get some backstory. 10 years ago, his brother went missing. He didn't find out until like very recently. He was reading through Glinda's book of history and all the things that happened, maybe looking for his brother's name or something.
Maybe.
I don't
Okay,
know.
here's the thing, though.
Maybe
In
there's an
the-
index.
In the last episode,
Glinda used her book.
we talked about how Glinda just must constantly be reading that book. So why is the Shaggy Man just now learning about his brother?
Well, it was 10 years ago, though, so it was before he got to Oz.
Glinda
Well, yeah,
hasn't-
that's what I'm wondering.
But his brother's not in Oz.
Yeah,
No, well, true.
that's what I'm like. He's not from Oz, so where would his brother be, and where is he searching right now?
Why is he in the book?
Well, the book is everything that happens anywhere, I thought, not just in Oz. Well, actually, it's definitely not just in Oz for reasons we'll come to find out later. But
So the Shaggy Man's brother was a miner in Colorado, and he worked in a gold mine. One day he went into the mine, and he never came out, and no one's ever seen him since. And Betsy is like, what do you think happened to him? And
one explanation.
there's only one. Okay. And before we go into it, I would like to go on the record as disagreeing. I do not think that this is the only possible explanation of what happens when you go into a mine and don't come out.
Yeah, in 1910.
Let's hear it.
Go for it, Wyatt.
So the Shaggy Man takes another big bite of an apple, holding back his tears, which are like actively in his eyes.
I'm gonna cry.
And he says,
Yeah, he's like wiping his eyes with a handkerchief
Yeah.
that whole time.
No.
the Gnome
brother.
King must have gotten him. Okay. That really got you.
Well, just like all the buildup was making me like think something else, so that was good.
Okay.
Betsy, who knows about Dorothy and Ozma, but not about the Shaggy Man or the Gnome King,
Yeah.
is like, what is that?
And we get some new information. Some new crazy
oh my
information.
God. Yeah, he says something fucking insane right now because he tells us that the Gnome King is sometimes called the Metal Monarch.
New. That's
Never heard
new.
that in
Never
my
heard
life.
that.
Yeah, I was like,
And-
wait.
His name is Ruggado.
So let's
What?
just go back a little bit. Let's
What was his name? It was
Roquat.
Roquat.
Yeah.
Now it's Ruggado.
so Ruggado, whatever.
That sounds like the Walmart brand.
Great value.
Great value Ruggadoos.
Okay. But it is crazy though because like this must be the villain with the most name changes in history because he's the Gnome King in like his first appearance, and that's Roquat of the Rocks. Then in the next appearance, he's Roquat the Red. Still the Gnome King, but okay, Roquat of the Rocks or Roquat the Red. But now he's the Metal Monarch and Ruggado. Like,
Yeah,
Gnome
he's
King,
not
Roquat,
even-
Roquat, Metal Monarch, Ruggado. What's this?
I want to say something to Elf Rinkbomb. How do you expect me to get your characters' names when you're changing them
Yeah.
and making them just insane?
So the Shaggy Man tells Betsy that Ruggado lives in some underground cavern and he claims to own all of the metals hidden in the earth, which we already know about him. He says the
Yeah.
rubies are mine, the gold is mine, the silver is mine. Like, he said that before. That's why he hates land people.
Yeah.
Betsy asks him why, and the Shaggy Man is like, because I don't know. And then he continues and tells her that the Gnome King goes wild with anger anytime someone digs his gold.
Yeah.
So for this reason, he thinks that the Gnome King, Ruggado, Metal Monarch, captured his brother and took him to his underground cavern.
Yeah. As a prisoner for stealing. Why? We also don't know. Like, why would he do that?
Yeah, seriously.
We don't know.
Well, because he hates it when people dig his metal, but like, why doesn't this happen to every single miner?
Yeah, like why the Shaggy Man's brother?
Betsy's like, oh man, I guess you'll never get your brother back.
Damn. You're like, well, what the fuck am I doing out here then, bitch?
Exactly.
You think I'm just here to fall on greenhouses?
I mean, he does tell her. He's like, that's probably true, but it's my duty to try. That's my family.
Exactly.
That's my blood.
And Betsy is like,
yes.
well, the Metal Monarch is just gonna take you prisoner too, probably. But of course,
Nonsense.
she's
Not
forgetting.
unless I fucking throw some eggs at him.
or the love. True, he should have brought Bellina.
Why isn't
Why didn't
Belina
he
here?
bring Bellina? Like, why do they have 7,000
I'm actually
chicks?
so mad.
Yeah.
There should be an army of chicks behind him.
There should be, because they, like, didn't Bellina, she was like, oh, I'm having all these babies to protect us.
Oh my god, I hope that's how this book ends, and if it does, so cute.
So cute. Oh.
So the Shaggy Man's like, dude, I have my love magnet. And Betsy's like, okay, like, so? But the Shaggy Man thinks that once the Gnome King sees the love magnet, he's going to love the Shaggy Man so much, he'll just do whatever he says.
That's a little risky.
Yeah, and like, how many pranks
is
can we
risky.
play on this here Gnome King before
Yeah.
he rises up?
Yeah.
And who knows what capabilities he has to, like,
Yeah. Now that he's the Metal Monarch, maybe he isn't affected by a love magnet.
yeah.
I mean, we've never
Honestly,
tried it on before.
I can't wait to meet him like in this book because I have a
See
feeling
how different he is.
I have a feeling he's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, he's not giving camp anymore.
Yeah.
It feels
no,
like
he's the Metalloid
Yeah.
maniac.
I mean, they
and
did-
he darts across.
They did
that
erase
wall.
his memory, and then he had to start over.
that's right.
So
Oh my god.
yeah, he drank of the waters of oblivion.
So who even? He's confused.
He had to pick a new name.
He's lost.
still evil.
Apparently, yeah,
Well-
you can't whatever. That I don't even want to talk
They-
That's
about.
what you're born
the whole-
with, I guess.
Yeah, but the whole point of what they did was to erase the evil.
Didn't work.
But it didn't work. It didn't take this time. But the Shaggy Man is like, yeah, I mean, the love magnet is going to be great. He's going to love me for that. Betsy's like, that must be a really good magnet. Shaggy Man's like, oh, it is. Want to see it?
It's always so
Don't.
creepy.
That is very creepy,
It's
actually.
just like with Dorothy.
Like, don't. That's a child.
But Betsy is like, I
Don't.
want to see it. I want to see it bad.
Of course she
She's
does.
like, I want to
Yeah.
see it real bad, Mr. Shaggy.
And
Stop.
so he reaches into his pocket, gropes around, pulls out this little silver magnet shaped like a horseshoe. And Betsy likes the Shaggy Man
Of course she does.
even more. And
the
Hank
magnet.
nuzzles him and starts cuddling him. And I'm like, ugh, I hated the love magnet when it was here the first time. I hate it even more now because I don't know this girl.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just don't.
This
You
is
don't
like-
need to show it to the people who already are gonna.
She
be
already
like,
liked him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It
And
makes
in the
it
last
weird.
book, nobody had to see it. Everybody just liked him and was like totally
That's true.
normal.
You
Yeah.
didn't have
In
to like
this,
show
they
it.
like gravitate to him. Like Hank is like nuzzling his knee. It's a very like magical moment. But in case you forgot where we are and what's happening right now, the royal gardener shouts at them, "You're all condemned to death!"
Yeah, he's made his way back to the
So
greenhouse.
the love magnet doesn't work for him.
Well, Betsy is scared, but the Shaggy Man just holds up the love magnet like a crucifix, and the gardener just collapses,
falls
and
at
he's
his feet.
sobbing, and he's like, "I love you, Shaggy Man. I
He
love
cat's
you.
on
You're
fire.
wonderful." Yeah,
all I have is yours, Shaggy Man. I
Yeah.
love you.
It's
Like,
giving
it's like a
yeah.
cult.
it is. Yeah,
That's
and
kinda
he's like,
weird.
"I would die for you, but you have to leave, or you'll be put to death. Like you have to leave."
Shaggy Man, it's very like when the Yoop was like, "I'm gonna eat you," and Dorothy was like, "Oh no, you're not gonna eat me." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because I'm not going over
That's
there."
right.
Yeah.
But like
right.
the Shaggy Man's like, "I'm not gonna die."
Yeah.
And the royal gardener, like, he's crying because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to Shaggy because he loves him so much.
He's
And he's
God
like,
damn, I just
he's like,
condemned
"No,
him to death.
Shaggy, you have to go. The law says that any stranger in the Rose Kingdom is going to be condemned to death immediately."
By
Oh,
the ruler.
so
And
he's not even anyone.
Shaggy Man's like, well, we haven't even seen the ruler yet, so like we can't be condemned by a person who we've never even seen or heard
But why
of.
haven't they seen the ruler yet?
Well, the truth is, there's not really a ruler right now because the rulers are also roses. And the last one mildewed before his time, went to rest early, and they had to plant him, just like in the land of the Mangaboos, where they plant the dead so they can, you know.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So it's just like that. But he was like, so right now there's actually like
They're
no one in the
growing.
royal garden who's ripe enough to pick and be our ruler.
Betsy's
Oh.
like, "How do you know that none of them are ripe?" And the royal gardener says, "I am the royal gardener."
Yeah, he's like, I know how that happens. I can tell.
Okay.
Period. Yeah, and he's like, and now I have to kill you in the interim because there's no ruler, so
Yeah.
it's me. So I'm going to kill you.
actually-
I'm going to kill
in
you both.
charge until there's a king
Yeah,
or a ruler. So the royal gardener's like, "Yeah, love you very much, Shaggy. Gotta kill ya." And Betsy's like, hold on. Before I die, I'd like to see the royal gardens." And Shaggy's like, "Me too. Yeah, no, we should definitely go see those royal gardens."
and the gardener says, no, I'm going to kill you both.
Shaggy flashes the love magnet.
Oh my god, again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's just on the ground. Yeah, speaking in tongues. Lightning's crashing
All I have is
outside.
yours. All I have is yours. All I have is yours.
But the gardener, being overpowered by the love magnet, he takes him like to the back of the greenhouse. There's a door back there, and he unlocks it, and they go through into the royal garden, which is just like it's like a big garden, like for what people who are normal would have, but like it's a small garden on a
It's
royal
normal.
scale. It's like a yard size
Yeah, it's
basically, but
like-
it's beautiful.
From the perimeter of the like greenhouse, a hedge runs out and like encloses the garden. Like it's
Yeah.
not huge.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
full of rose bushes with these like soft velvet leaves. And growing on all of the bushes are men, women, and children in all stages of maturity.
But they're all a little bit green. Like their skin is a little green, their clothes are green, so not quite ripe yet. So also really giving the land of the Mangaboos, where the people are growing in the back gardens, and someone has to decide when they're ripe. So everybody, or just to mention though, all these like royal people who are hanging there they're growing kind of from the middle branch of a tree or of a rose bush, and they have open eyes that are just kind of staring dully ahead. They're not moving.
They're not alive.
They're not reacting. Yeah. Like they're just like waiting, like in suspended animation, and just looking like corpses, basically. And they're a little green.
She kind of goes around like checking all of them out. And she like goes behind like the big bush in the center of the garden. And on the back side of it, she sees a princess in like perfect color and shape. She's blooming beautifully.
Yeah, no green. And she's like, oh, this one is ripe for sure. Like, there's a ripe one right here.
She's gotta be.
The royal gardener comes over and he's like, oh, yeah, that one's ripe. But it's a woman, so we can't have her for a ruler.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've ever heard of Ozma?
Yes, okay, well, they have, and I'll tell you why in a second.
But
for right now,
from
yeah.
behind the royal gardener, there's this chorus of voices saying 1, 2, 3.
No, indeed. It's all the roses. Somehow they followed
God
them out into
damn
the
it.
garden. I don't know how, because they are literally they're depicted.
they were
in the
stuck
book.
in the greenhouse.
pots.
Yeah,
They're
they're
in
in
pots.
pots on a
It was like,
stem. Yeah, that's what I said. Are they hopping or are they kind of like rocking back and forth? You know,
Ew.
like either way, it's
They're like
bad.
shifting.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. They're just like. Oh,
Maybe
that's
they
so
just do like a
horrible.
weird like stretch into the doorway.
Oh, maybe. But I
Either
don't
way,
think so.
gross. But the royal gardener, he's like, see, they don't want a girl ruler, they want a king. And all of the rose bushes are like 1, 2, 3,
A king.
a king.
I don't have it all written
Okay,
down.
so they're just like girly girls that want like a man.
I guess
Yes.
so. It's kind of annoying though.
It is kind of annoying.
The Shaggy Man is like, that's a royal right there. And the royal gardener says something crazy.
So, very much like Ozma is the princess, the girl ruler of Oz, you know. This is Princess Ozga. She is a distant cousin of Princess Ozma of Oz.
And she's a rose princess.
Yeah, she has a full body. So she looks like a girl, except her head is like a rose and she has a girl's face.
Oh, what the hell?
But Betsy, hearing that like this is a descendant of Ozma, she like leans over to Shaggy Man. She's like, we should pick this lady. And Shaggy Man's like, oh no, yeah, we're gonna pick that lady.
Yeah, and she's gonna protect us
Yeah.
because
She's
we're gonna
coming
save
with
her.
us.
Yeah, yeah. And so at this point, the gardener is kind of like over like tending to some of the roses, who he's like, get the fuck back in the greenhouse probably. But Shaggy Man and Betsy just like each take an arm of the princess and they just kind of like lift her and shift her a little bit, and her feet twist off the bush and she comes to life. She bows.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I thank you, very sweetly.
The royal gardener and the other roses hear her say, I thank you, and all turn around.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a fluttering of leaves as they all look and stare
like,
at them.
All of
Ew.
their faces change from curiosity to like pure anger.
Yeah.
No, they gotta
all just,
go.
like, they all just cry out like, audacious mortals, what have you done?
And
Run!
yeah. They're like, we will not have a princess. Like, we want a king. We want a man rose.
That's fine.
No girl is going to rule us. Yeah.
She's coming with us.
Well, the princess is like, what the fuck? Like, you're not being very welcoming. Like,
You're my subject.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
I've been picked from the bush, like, to be your ruler, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that why I'm here?
Oh,
They
she doesn't
say
even
that
know.
she was picked by mortals without their consent, and they do not accept her.
Yeah, and they will not obey her, and they will not listen to her and love her.
And they start ordering, the roses start ordering the royal gardener to have the strangers and the new princess thrown out.
Which my question is that how the monarchy works? It's that the group of people collectively decides who they want to rule them.
That sounds like a democracy.
That sounds like a democracy.
Yeah,
So
that's not what I'm used to in
Yeah.
this part.
it's interesting that that's how they're treating this when it's a princess, but I digress. But Shaggy Man is like, hey, you know what? Like, Princess Ozga, here, take this love magnet in your hand, like, show it to the roses, and then they'll love you, and then, like, you don't have to worry about it. And so she tries it, but the roses fucking hate it
They
even
hiss.
more. Like, yeah, they hiss harder than they already were. Yeah.
The Shaggy Man is like, I have never seen the love magnet not work before.
Well, they're not
But-
people.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing. Betsy realizes, she's like, they don't have hearts. Like, the magnet can't work on them. And the royal gardener kind of clears that up. He's like, yeah, like, they are stems and thorns and petals. They are not people. Like,
Yeah.
this shit.
They're pretty-
These enchantments don't work on them. They are enchantments.
Yeah. And so the Princess Ozga gives back the love magnet to the Shaggy Man, and she just kind of like sighs. And the roses are back at it, and they're like, "Turn her out. We want a man rose. Give us the king."
Oh
And
my god.
the gardener doesn't like it, but he's like, "Shaggy Man, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't want to kill you, but
I've
like,
got a duty to honor.
yeah,
me.
like you guys got to get out. Like, you got to get out
Just
of here.
get the fuck out.
Leave immediately."
tells
Yeah.
him to leave. And Shaggy Man's like, but don't you love me, Guardy?
No.
And the gardener's like, oh, I do. I dote on thee. But you gotta go.
Yeah, like, I have a duty to do.
He's like, I have a
The
job.
love doesn't matter.
but-
Yeah, I have to keep my job.
He grabs his pitchfork and he starts jabbing it at them.
Oh my god.
Like he's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt you, but I will.
These people
So
are the
get
Yeah.
worst.
And they're like, "What the fuck?" And Hank,
Mangaboo was scarier. Honestly,
Oh, the
if
way
it
they,
wasn't
Yeah,
like-
Mangaboo was scarier because he
So
gathered
many.
everyone
At
to
least,
throw them
yeah.
in a fucking dark
those
hole or
twists,
something.
Those twists. Oh yeah, they escaped the twists and then they got sent to the dark hole. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
right.
But Hank starts to kick, and the gardener like jumps back to avoid the kicks.
He's been kicked before.
But then all the roses, and there's probably, I don't know how many there are, but there's like, let's say 30 roses, and they like kind of like move their petals, and they have these big old thorns on them, and
You know
they are just
something-
like slashing at them.
You know something I didn't even think about? Some of these roses that are attacking them just have these like fully formed green like dead people dangling from them while they're
Ew.
doing it.
No.
I bet.
Each of the roses, each of these roses that's alive is just one face per rose, and they're just rose.
No bodies
faces.
involved.
No bodies on these ones.
I wonder what their purpose is.
They're the court.
But yeah, they're like, okay, like we need to get the fuck out of here. So they allow themselves to be backed out of the Rose Kingdom and out of the greenhouse, out of the Rose Kingdom altogether. The Princess Ozga is rightfully just sobbing. Like these are her first few moments on the planet.
Yeah, she
She's not
woke up
liking
to
it.
this.
She woke
That
up like
is
this.
kind of scary.
Betsy is pissed.
She's pissed.
Yeah.
Hank is hee-hawing for the gods. He wants
Yeah.
to kick something.
He's also pretty angry. And
Shaggy Man's whistling.
yeah, just calmly. He's chilling. So they finally, the Country of the Roses is not that big. So they end up getting to the edge of it, and like I think the roses are probably still following them, but at least the gardener is. And the gardener like lowers the drawbridge because there's a big moat at the edge of the country. He like ushers them across, and then he pulls the bridge back up. So now they're stuck on the other side of the moat, and they're just like
At least they're
locked
still
out.
on land.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
they are
Seriously.
in what is described as a bleak and unknown country.
Obviously, Shaggy Man's brother isn't there.
and that's
Yeah.
pretty much how it goes. Actually, like Shaggy Man's like, well, I wasn't planning on staying there anyway. I gotta go find my brother.
Yeah, like this is just the next step. Like he's gonna
Yeah,
be
y'all should have just
somewhere
left
else.
when they asked.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, why did
Why
they
did it
need
have to
stay?
be turned into a whole situation? Why did you have to? Well, I understand plucking the princess.
Yeah, at some point it's like, well, okay, like you guys, like you want to kill us? Like
You got
maybe
an
we can get some
Ozga?
help. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys have Ozga?
I'm taking an Ozga.
Thank God they got that Ozga. And
No,
Betsy
you haven't.
found our friend the Shaggy Man, I guess. But Betsy's like, oh, Hank and I will help you find your brother. We are so lost. We have no idea where we're going. And also, like, going on an adventure is more fun than being at home anyway. To which I would
Yeah.
say, like, shut the fuck up, Betsy. You're delusional. When was the last time you ate? Kind of something like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
she
when
really
was
needs
last
to
time
eat.
she? Oof. But Princess Ozga of Roseland is now an outcast, and she will be an outcast forever. And she tells the Shaggy Man that, yeah, like I would be happy to help you find your brother too, because I have nowhere else to go, and
Damn.
might as well.
Yeah. The Shaggy Man thanks them all, but he's also like, if I can't find the cavern of Ruggado, I'll never even find my brother. So, like, you guys might be just coming on a goose chase with me.
At least he's honest.
But
Yeah.
this is where we learn that, like, Ruggado was once named Roquat. He drank from the waters of oblivion, forgot his own name, and had to make up a new one.
So at least we get that explained.
That makes sense, actually, why his name would change then.
No.
Yeah.
The only valid explanation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
Although
the
he
only
still
one.
does think everything underground belongs to him. So he does remember
he's
some
the exact
things.
same guy. New
I
name.
don't know. It's hard to get on board with.
I guess you can't erase a personality.
Yeah.
But Betsy's like, well, does anyone know where this cavern can be found? And he's like, yeah, someone probably does, not me. So we need to keep walking until we find someone who does.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And so they decide to travel on. And they're like, obviously they just crossed a drawbridge. So like they're on a path. So they just decide to follow the path, like leading away from the Rose Kingdom. And so they just set off. And that's the end of chapter 6. Shaggy seeks his stray brother. And Blake, what would you seek that?
Picking trouble in the Rose Kingdom.
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 7, Polychrome's Pitiful Plight. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour. Created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Riddy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.